And now, podcasting from the sun-scorched desert Southwest, weighing in at a combined total of 340 pounds, Brad Winchester, Tyler McDowell Blanken, are Gimmick Infringement.
Welcome, everybody, to the Gimmick Infringement Podcast. I am Brad Winchester, and with me, as always, is my tag team partner, Tyler McDowell Blanken. Tyler, it's a normal record day for us. It is Sunday, May 8th. Right now, currently, as we speak, WrestleMania Backlash is playing somewhere on the WWE network. How are you doing today? How's your weekend?
Brad, I'm great, man. It's so wonderful to see you. I know we'll get to your recent trip here shortly, but I'm doing well. I'm a little sad. Not only is Backlash occurring, but the Suns, our beloved Phoenix Suns, just lost to the Dallas Mavericks. The series is currently tied 2-2. So very much deja vu of round one, which I know we spoke about on the previous episode of Gimmick Infringement. So I'm a little sad, man, but I'm still hopeful that the guys will pull through as the series returns to the Footprint Center here in Phoenix. But it's been a nice weekend. It's Mother's Day weekend, so shout out to all of the moms out there. I mean, what would society be without our moms, Brad? I know you and I have so much love for our respective moms and just so much admiration for, again, mothers everywhere. They truly make the world go round. And I think given the, not to get too political, 1 minute and 20 seconds in, but given some of the, recent headlines in the news regarding women and even motherhood, I don't know if I'm able to speak on this, but I just think this particular Mother's Day just feels so important to reach out to the moms in your life that have made a difference for you and just been so heroic. So yeah, man, I'm so glad to see you. It's been a great weekend. I'm happy we're recording on Mother's Day. Shout out to my mom if she's listening. And yeah, man, I'm super stoked for this episode of Gimmick Infringement. How are you doing?
You know what? I'm hanging on. Dear life here. Yesterday, we got home around, it was like 10:30 Arizona time. An 8-hour car ride turned into like a 12-hour car ride. And it was a long day, hellacious weekend of driving. Glad we got to spend it with great people in the car. I slept as much as I could. It's hard to sleep on those things. We were in a 12-person Ford Transit van, and anybody that's ever been in one of those and sat in the back understands how tossed around you can get inside of that thing. There was that point in Iowa where I thought we were going to die. There was another point somewhere in God, where was it? I think in Wisconsin, northern Wisconsin, we started driving through, that it was just like, it was like hitting some whoops on like a side-by-side track or like a dirt bike track, but we were in a damn van with two dogs strapped to the floor and a car seat and various, it was just terrible. We all agreed we'd never do it again. It's flights from here on out if we have to go that far. For those of you that don't know, that haven't been keeping up on social media, we'll give you the handles to follow us at the end, like usual. I got the flu about 18 hours into the trip, and was checking my emails for my students, and like kids were going down left and right. There were people out with illness. I just assumed it was COVID. The flu is everywhere right now. Influenza A is in all corners of the country, just running wild. So I had it in the car, and then nobody really seemed that worried about it. Everybody seemed worried that it was COVID until I tested negative. And then people were like, oh, good, it's not COVID. So I'm in the car, just chills and body aches like you would not believe, bro. And nobody was really all that concerned. And this is the part I felt like a jerk. We rolled up to Jess's grandmother's house, and everybody's there for the funeral. There's like 30 people inside of this place. It's not a very big house. We're sleeping in the basement. We're going to sleep in the old master bedroom in the basement. And there's nothing in there, obviously. That's where Jess's mom and stepdad lived for the last almost a decade while we squatted in their house in Arizona. And I just wanted to go to bed. And everybody was saying hi. And I'm like, hey, I don't know what I have. Don't touch me. and wanted to go to the basement and just crash. And everybody was greeting each other. And nobody was unloading the van. And I'm like, fine, I'll do it. I'll do it. I had 102 fever, and I was like dragging heavy ass shit down a staircase, like delirious.
Not for the weak at heart. Yeah.
I was just like, it's happening. I was just like totally fueled by anger and frustration at this point. I was just so mad.
Fuel. The best.
I was just mad. I was just banging into stuff and moving it. People wouldn't get out of the way. I was like, excuse me, excuse me, excuse me. Just trying to get like stuff down the stairs.
You hit him with the Vicky Guerrero, is what you're saying.
Oh, I was absolutely like, I wanted to yell, get out of my way, but it was like, I haven't seen many of these people in 10 years, and they're being very kind and everybody's being nice. I felt like an absolute asshole, but I was just like, I don't care. I want to go to bed. And then it was like, where are the air mattresses? I want to go to bed right now. And I was looking for it, and I finally got it. I inflated it. It didn't inflate all the way. I couldn't figure out what was going on. The little cap on the bottom wasn't shut all the way. Finally got it up, and I was like, where's the bedding? I don't know. So I was like, all right, I'm just putting my hoodie up, and I'm laying on top of this thing without sheets, without blankets. I don't care. I'll sleep with I was laying on there in my jeans for about an hour waiting for somebody to show up with any kind of blankets. Cause I was like, I don't care. I got to go to bed.
Right.
The lights were on. I was pissed.
Didn't matter.
And it was probably in the mid 60s down there and damp. So it was like not exactly the best place to sleep in the first place, just because of how terrible and cold and damp it was. Very Michigan-esque. And then the next morning, Freya woke up with 104.6 fever. And then suddenly it was like, oh man, we should care about this. And I was like, yeah, we should effing care about this. We should go get this little girl to the hospital and get her taken care of. But the whole time I was still thinking, man, like, you didn't care about this in the car. You didn't care about this on Saturday when I felt like shit. No. Everything was fine. No COVID. Brad's fine. No COVID. Bro.
I love you adding the daddy magic accent to that. That really, I got a tinge of that there.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I was just pissed. Yeah,
so everyone was
New York, Chicago. It's weird. His accent is like New York, Chicago.
It's right in between.
And it's in between those, and he's Canadian, so it's very strange.
It's complex. But everyone was underselling your illness.
Yeah, because I get sick. It's what I do. It's my thing. I get migraines and I get sick. I had one yesterday and I got one today. So I'm all like jacked up on medication. I'm ready for bed. Like I was sleeping before we started, and I'm going back to bed as soon as we're done with this thing. When will it get published? I don't know. I don't have a timeline right now. The timeline right now is sleep.
Yes, that is the priority, but it will get published. And man, like I said, I'm just so glad you and the fam are back. I'm glad you made it safely. I know it wasn't the best experience for the reasons you just laid out, and I certainly have photo and video evidence of your bumpy ride that maybe we'll see the light of the day at some point. But I'm just glad you're back, man, because you were telling me about the ride and about some accidents on the road, just the things you see when you're traveling between states. And man, I'm just so happy my friend is back in Tucson, safe and sound.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And in all seriousness, like I'm making a bigger deal out of this than it was. Like it's just how I cope with things. And I actually was like trying to find ways to make fun of it on the way. There was that Saturday. I was like, there's no making fun of this. I was like, I am so miserable right now that I have nothing. I just need to get some sleep. And luckily we stopped at a hotel, but Jess had to like shake me awake the next morning because I was so delirious because I didn't know what was going on. I slammed Benadryl. I had a migraine, so I took both of those things. So in the morning I was doing that thing where you try to fight your eyes open. This is for the YouTube people, where you're like doing this thing where
Undertaker
like you're stretching your eyeballs out, like open up, and all you're doing is like you're just raising your eyebrows up. Your eyelids aren't doing shit, but your eyelids are just stuck, frozen in time and place.
Did you ever try the Undertaker eye
of course
gimmick? And then did you have a family member though? Because I remember my wonderful grandmother, they called her Mouse because she was tiny. On my dad's side, she used to say, I think it was her, she used to say that, hey, Ty, don't do that because your eyeballs are going to get stuck like that. And that, like, I immediately stopped after that. I was so worried that I was going to be stuck perpetually in the Undertaker eyeball motion, and that is not cute.
My grandparents that also told me, I think it was my grandma Lois that also said like, hey, don't make those faces because they'll get stuck like that. And it was
Grandma
just like,
Lois, okay.
yeah, I got to stay away from this.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. It must be a grandmother thing.
I think so. Great
Yeah,
use of the
generational.
absolutely great use of delirious by you though. That is an underrated word. I like
It
that.
is. It really is, man. Like I felt really bad through most of it because all I could think was like, we are up here for a funeral for somebody that is universally beloved. Like everybody loved her. Everybody. There's not a single person I've ever met that said a bad word about this woman. Um, and I'm here sick, and I might be compromising people's ability to go say goodbye to their mother, to their grandmother. And that's all I could think the whole time was like how guilty I felt. And then when Freya got sick, I was stuck at the hotel. I wasn't able to go to the viewing. I wasn't able to go to the funeral. I wrote a thing for her that was mostly like, this is how old she was. Like she's older than all of these things. She was
Right.
literally older than sliced bread. So I had this list of things that she had been around for because she lived such a long and wonderful life that she got to see all of this stuff, like simple things we take for granted. I mean, she saw refrigeration happen at a wide scale. That's crazy to me that all of
That's a
that happened.
hell of a feat to see. Yeah.
Yeah. So like the year she was born, the Model A replaced the Model T.
Hmm.
Like that's that's wild to me that she was around for all of these things. So um I was sad that I wasn't able to share but Jess got to do that. And um we're just really, really bummed that I couldn't be there to be supportive and to say my goodbye in person, but very fortunate that I got to do that in person with Graham here, where a lot of other people didn't get to see her before the end. So um, I feel lucky in that respect, but I felt, you can't control if you're sick or not, but I still felt guilty. So it's a really tough week for, I think for everybody involved. I'm not going to sit here and say I had it the worst. I didn't have to say goodbye to a mother. So, this close to Mother's Day and this close to Graham's birthday. Graham's birthday was a couple of days ago, and she would have been 95. So it's yeah, it's just been, it was rough. If this would have been a vacation and we were talking about this, totally different story. This was not a vacation. This was something else. And I'm just glad we made it back safe and sound. Never driving that again, not ever. But after this, I don't know that there's going to be a reason to go up there ever again. All of my family, nobody lives
Wow.
there anymore. So Jess has an aunt and uncle up there, but I don't know for how long. They have family that are all out on the West Coast, so we'll see. No idea. So yeah, kind of wild. Glad we're back. I echo everything you said about Mother's Day. I'm glad I got to see my mom on the way back down. We stopped in Green Bay, had lunch with them,
Oh,
and
okay. Yeah.
had a quick Mother's Day breakfast with them.
Amazing.
And I didn't think I was going to get to see my brother because he teaches. He's still in school, and he had a prep thing, and he popped over, and I got to see him for a little bit. So it was really great getting to see him.
Awesome.
So there were some really good parts of the trip. Don't get me wrong; it was great reconnecting. Glad I got some Congress pizza. I got to have a pasty. I got to have a kudigi. All these UP staples, especially Northern UP, that I was really happy to be able to partake in.
Yeah, that's wonderful, Brad. Obviously, still my condolences and thoughts
Thank you.
with Jess and the whole family. I know you don't just you don't just make the trip, come back, and then forget about everything, or everything is just perfect. So thoughts continued with her. I'm glad you got your Congress pizza. And yeah, man, like you said, just shout out to all the moms. Again, in the world, we have so much admiration. We already mentioned that. And shout out to everyone listening and watching this right now. It's Gimmick Infringement. It's pro wrestling and much more. Brad, I have 3 questions for you this week, and
Let's
I
go.
am so excited. Hopefully to pop you once or twice, but mostly to hear your answers. Are you ready for my first one?
I am ready. Let's do this.
Beautiful. So on the back end of things, listeners, viewers, you may have heard once or twice that Brad and I have a Google Doc that we use for every episode to sort of organize our thoughts and make sure we're delivering something coherent to you. Hopefully it's coherent. I think we put out coherent.
Yeah, I think so.
Work.
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Yeah.
We think so. That's all that matters. So, Brad, you're going to need the Google Doc for this one. I have it up. I'm positive you do as well. My first question
I had a
for
feeling
you,
this is coming. Yeah.
coming hot out the gates.
Great visuals, by the way.
Yes. It's all about the Owen tournament. So we finally have both brackets, the women's and men's bracket for this really epic tournament that we know is going to conclude at Double or Nothing, which, believe it or not, is in a few weeks on Sunday, May 29th. So we can see it on our docs, but I'll give our listeners some background here. Participants in the women's Owen, we have Tony Storm facing Jamie Hayter, Dr. Britt Baker facing a Joker or the Joker, the returning Riho facing Ruby Soho. I'm really intrigued by that one. And then Red Velvet versus Hikaru Shida. We'll talk about the men's in just a moment, Brad. But for the women's, I want to know, this is such a loaded question for you, but I think you're ready. I want to know first, who is the Joker and who is your official prediction to win this tournament?
Okay. I don't know who the Joker is. This one is legitimately, I'm not sure. My gut tells me that it's Athena, but I kind of feel like it might be somebody else, maybe from DDT, maybe from one of the partnerships, maybe even from New Japan that I don't know about. But I don't think it'll be for a US crowd. I think it'll be disappointing if that happens. I almost feel like it needs to be a return, which who's returning? There's everybody's there on the women's side. We'll get to that later. On the women's side, so there are two possibilities here: Athena, Lana. So, CJ Perry,
CJ
feel
Perry.
like
Okay.
I feel like would make a ton of sense as a Joker here, because in the men's side, I think we're getting a returning Miro. It might be Claudio, but I think it's going to be a returning Miro. It will not be a Wyndham, but it will be somebody like that. It could even be Redbeard. I don't know. Like he's got AEW music, he's got a graphic, he's got all that, but I think that would also be a disappointing thing.
Well, I was gonna
because we've seen him
ask
already,
you.
but
I was gonna ask you as like a third part of my question. One, do the respective Jokers need to win the tournament?
well,
The
we'll come to
tournament,
that.
or at least make it to the finals.
No. So I'm going to say Athena, just for the sake of it, for the first one to change it up.
And she beats Britt.
Still a free agent. She beats Britt. I think she goes on to face Tony Storm. I think Tony Storm wins.
Oh,
but I think it's a banger. I can't wait for Riho and Ruby Soho. I think that match is going to hump.
How great was that Riho match on Rampage?
Good, man.
The black gear, the whole we really need to put some respect on her name. I know you and I have been, but for whatever reason,
it's because she's small.
On
People
the
do
internet,
it because she's small.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Instead of an excellent technician, she's a great worker.
Yes.
She
when
sells
she kicks
her
out of
ass
that
off.
pin.
Oh my God.
I could not do that.
She's incredible in the ring. So people need to leave it alone. She's a former champ. Give me a break.
The inaugural champ, yeah.
Yes, give me a break. So
okay. Who do you think wins there? Riho?
I don't know, man.
Does Ruby go back to relative obscurity?
Riho's better. I like Ruby, but after watching her, she works really good in tag teams. I don't know that I love her as a solos competitor. I don't. Except I loved her in this match this weekend. It's just she was great in this match when it wasn't one-on-one. It was the tag team.
Great hot tag.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. I love her in tag situations. She's so good in a tag team, which is why I'm still pissed they broke that tag team up. But
the Riot Squad,
absolutely
money.
Crazy, yeah,
money, yeah,
no brainer. But I also understand giving a solos push to live. So, I think that Riho is better, but Rio's already been champ. So that one's tough for me because I would love to see a Riho Hikaru Shida versus Riho. I don't think Velvet beats Shida.
Agreed.
They might do that though to give her a push. Maybe we have Jade interference and then we get Jade Sheeta, which could be great. That would be really fun because we already kind of had that, but didn't we in the tournament? And Deeb got involved and cost her the
Yes.
match.
Yes,
So
that's right.
I think
Well,
that could be a good.
Jade doesn't have a definitive opponent for Double or Nothing yet,
No,
and you got to have her on the card, right?
yeah, absolutely.
Have to.
Winnie agrees as my dog goes ballistic in the
When
background.
he
Yeah,
does agree.
yeah. Okay, so I'm going to say, jeez, this dog. Velvet loses, so that leaves us with Sheeta, Riho, Sheeta, Ruby. Man, that side of the bracket is so hard to pick. I just feel like Tony Storm's coming out of the left side. Out of the right side, I don't know. Probably Ruby. Ruby and Tony, since they had them team together, it makes the most sense to have that match. And I think Tony wins.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that buries Ruby that way. And
Right.
so I'm just going to say Tony comes out of the women's tournament. I would like to see that. Either Tony or Jamie. Either one of those I would like to see come out of the women's tournament.
I am not surprised in the slightest. I agree with you, man. This does seem like it's Tony's tournament to win for sure. I don't. That's so tough that the Joker and Tony are on the same side of the bracket.
Yeah.
My mind would think to choose whoever the Joker is going to be. It's going to be Joker versus Tony in the finals, but obviously we know that's not possible. So I like your Tony pick. I'm going to agree. My mind is telling me that it has to be Athena as the Joker. Like you said, I really think so much emphasis is going to be placed on the moment of this entrance or this possible debut, that if it's just, again, no disrespect, but if it's a Penelope Ford or someone we've already seen who's just not on the shelf, I mean, maybe even Chris Statlander slides in here, even though we've seen her in this new character. I think it needs to be noteworthy and substantial. But like you, I'm going to pick Tony in the finals. I'm going to choose a different opponent. I will go. This is very tough. I'm going to say Tony versus Riho in the finals. Tony gets the dub.
The only thing I could see that they might do is Britt takes out the Joker, Jamie beats Tony, and that sets up Britt versus Jamie to split them.
Yeah,
I
like that,
and that's why I could see those two on the same side of the bracket, where they're like, we'll just go ahead and lay down and eat the pin, and Jamie's not having any of that.
Yeah,
and it's just gonna
give me that
her out in the ring.
That sounds a lot better. Yeah,
that's such an easy Tony, story to write. But I think
Athena as well.
But I think Jamie has gotten herself over just by looking like that. Like Jamie hardly even says anything, but she's like, watch her ring work. She's just smacking people around and tossing people. Like,
right. Well,
I'm just to the face.
Great boot.
This week.
Great tweet.
Good
great boot.
God. Yeah.
I'm just so focused on the Double or Nothing card.
Yeah.
And in my mind too, Brad, to your point, I was just thinking of, we mentioned Jade a few minutes ago, but can you really have Double or Nothing without Britt on it? Maybe, because the roster is incredibly talented and you can't find a spot for everyone on an 8 or 9 match card. But man, Double or Nothing without the Doctor, I don't know. I kind of want Britt on the show.
Yeah.
Ideally in a spot of significance.
Well, that's why maybe we get Jamie in the finals and then Britt shows up. That's a tough one. Or otherwise Britt's going to end up doing some pre-show match or something else. Maybe she's on, I don't know. I don't want to see her just pushed off to the side, but she did carry the women's division for about a year. So there is that.
Absolutely.
Not quite a year, not until Jade took over. That was going to be one of my questions was, well, I don't want to give it away in case I decide to go to it, but man, yeah, it's hard to know. This is for the women's championship though, right? Like I still don't know what this is for.
Have we confirmed that the winner then gets a title shot at Thunder Rosa? Or
it might just be the Owen tournament, the end.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a great question. I don't know that we've had it established. I'm assuming it'll end up being for a title shot, but Maybe that
or
hasn't been
it's
confirmed.
or it's just an Andre trophy. You know what I mean? Like I'm
Right, but
not
hopefully
sure.
this is going to be of more substance. This will be
Right.
honoring Owen Hart, and hopefully his family will be there in Las Vegas for the show.
Yeah.
My fear is that the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, as much of a legend as Andre was, we love that man for clear reasons. That Battle Royal seems to be the most or the least consequential Battle Royal every single year, arguably in all of wrestling. Like, how has anyone been propelled after winning
Right.
that? Who's won that? It's like Cesaro, Baron Corbin. I mean, it's just no.
Yeah, I can't think of
Right.
I just don't those are the only two I can think of. I just don't
Right.
care.
But if you win a tournament like that needs to lead to something.
Same thing, King of the Ring.
Yes. Yeah, I think TK and company will do the right thing, and this will not only lead to a big moment and maybe a trophy, but I think the winner has to get a shot at either Jade or Thunder Rosa. Maybe even
Agreed.
as soon as the Dynamite. I think the Dynamite in LA right after Double or Nothing.
And maybe they get a pick. Maybe this is like Money in the Bank for them. I don't know.
That'd be cool. Yeah.
That would be amazing.
What about the men's side, bro? I feel like we could just easily go an hour on this alone, but I know we
Yes, sir.
won't.
No,
Uh,
I'd be okay
yeah.
with that.
Okay, great. Men's side.
So so Ray Phoenix against Kyle O'Reilly is going to be a lot of fun because it's going to be like a bunch of insane high spots and brutal kicks.
Contrast
Like
of styles.
yes, it's gonna that one I'm looking forward to. That I might be looking forward to that one more than any other match in
Ooh.
here.
Really?
Simply
Oh,
because
okay.
that's the one that's the hardest to figure out. That's why I'm so intrigued by it. It's such a contrast in styles. But Adam
We got
Cole,
a
I
dream
love
match on the
Dax.
other side.
Yeah, but I already know what that's going to look like because
Okay.
it's those two against each other, and it's basically the same person fighting a younger version of himself.
Yes, give me
Um,
that.
I'm pumped for it, but it's
Okay.
not a surprise, and the styles are so similar that I already expect a banger out of that. I don't know what to expect with Ray Phoenix against Kyle O'Reilly. I only kind of know what to expect against that with Adam Cole against Dax Harwood. I'm hoping for a Dax win here. I actually hope Adam Cole loses. I think that would be really intriguing to see Dax against Darby or Dax against Jeff going into the finals. I think that would be great. Samoa Joe against the Joker. Here's where I think this is going to get complicated. This is where the Joker has to go to the finals, maybe even win it. My pick is Miro, a returning Miro. It's the one that makes the most sense. If it's not, it better be Claudio. If it's anybody else, it's disappointing. It won't be Wyndham. They don't have the money for it. So he already said he wants millions. So until they get the new TV deal in like 2024, I don't know if they're going to be able to do that anyway. So either they have to figure something out and start letting people go out of their contracts like they did with Stu, or they're going to have to Tony's going to have to fund it himself if it's Wyndham. So that would be the dream. Claudio is the two, but I'm ready for Miro to come back. I know he's healthy, and I think his shooting is done on his schedule. So Miro against Samoa Joe, and this is why people are like, I don't want Samoa Joe to lose, but it's like Samoa Joe's fine if he loses. He's the TV champ for Ring of Honor. So a loss here, we're gonna get interference. You know, it'll be Jay Lethal will interfere.
The trio.
It'll
Yeah.
end up costing him. Miro will put him in the game over and he'll pass out. Um, that's my guess. But I kind of want to see a Cesaro swing on Samoa Joe, a Claudio swing. Can you
Could you
imagine?
imagine? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. That
Yes.
organic. Exactly.
Yeah,
Yes, we
totally.
agree.
But if it's Samoa Joe moving on or Miro moving on against Ray Phoenix moving on, give me that right away too, because you know it'll be crazy and it'll probably end up being fast. Because I don't think Ray's walking away from that. I do have a Ray question for you later. And then Jeff Hardy, Darby Allin, a coin flip here. I think Jeff puts Darby over. And then Adam Cole against Dax. I don't know. Darby, Adam Cole could be really good, but I think Dax Darby would be even more fun. But either of those guys against Jeff Hardy makes a lot of sense here too. And I think TK might want to put a legend in there with some guys who want to wrestle a legend. So I could see that happening absolutely too. I think no matter what, the Joker is winning this tournament. That's my pick. I don't care who it is.
Yeah, yeah, TBD. I want it to be Miro. Man, like you said, the Joker has to end up winning this. I'm gonna go Miro. I really like the idea of Miro versus Ray Phoenix. I don't like the idea of Ray losing, but Miro definitely would take the win there.
Mhm.
He reaches the finals. I'm more excited, I think, about Jeff and Darby than you are, or at least I have it higher on
I'm pumped for
my
it.
first round rankings.
So,
I'll say.
listen, man, I'm really excited for the match. I'm not going to
Yes,
be surprised by the match. I think that's the
right.
difference.
It's a
Where
surprise
Ray and
element.
Kyle, I have no idea what to expect.
Yeah,
With
yeah.
Darby and Jeff, I know exactly what to expect. It's not as
Exactly. Just the visual in
but I'm
my mind
pumped.
of right, these two just facing off. Like, sign me up for that.
I think
I
a Jeff senton bomb though onto Darby might kill Darby. So I
that
feel like Jeff has to eat the coffin drop,
that
or Darby's going to die.
that Swanton looks more and more snug by the week. It's I never realized how snug it was.
We changed
I
it.
think until he
He changed it.
began in AEW.
Well, yeah, he changed it like 2 years ago to protect his
Yeah,
back. So
right,
now they take a bigger brunt of the blow, because
right,
when he was doing it to protect them, he was destroying his back. Now
right.
he's like, "Fuck them kids,"
It
and
used to
he's
be
just
just
like,
all like traps
"Boom,
but now
yeah,
it's just the whole
yeah,
whole
yeah,
midsection.
yeah." He's
Yeah,
just killing people. Yeah,
I hope Bobby Fish is doing okay out there. That looked pretty brutal.
it's bad.
I really am down for Dax beating Adam Cole. I don't know that I'm ready to predict that.
Brainbuster.
Yeah, but we know how much this tournament means to Dax as a shoot, not just on TV. So
Yeah,
I'm gonna be courageous and go Joker, assuming Miro here. Miro versus Dax.
I would love that.
Right? Like Dax in a singles match at a pay-per-view, maybe that's a reach. But Miro versus Dax in the
I
finals
can
at
see
Double or
Dax winning
Nothing.
it though. Babyface Dax Harwood
I no,
in
I
the
think
Owen Hart tournament. It makes so
yeah,
much sense.
it does,
DK's a smart man.
it does, but I think Miro absolutely beats him in the finals and reignites the epic heel
Yeah,
Miro
it's the
part two.
best. It's yes.
Imagine the heat that
It's
Miro's
deep.
gonna get when he puts
It's deep
Dax in game
stopping.
over.
Yeah, it's deep
Right?
stopping Ashita from winning
Yes.
her 50th or whatever.
Heat.
It's the same thing. It's hitting her with the plaque in the face, and everybody's ready to celebrate, and she loses.
Yes.
That's got to
Give
be
me
what
that.
happens, right? Like
Give me that.
I want to see Dax win, because I think just the endorphins alone would be worth it. But like with a crushed Cash on the outside, while Dax is laying in the ring to a victorious heel Miro doing in the ring the arm pumps
Yes.
before putting
The
the
arm
game
pumps.
over.
That's
Yes,
thank you. Your impressions
I
always
missed that.
deliver.
I missed
That's
that
money.
so much.
Yes.
Yes,
And
yeah,
then
I
he does
can't
the
wait for that.
snap and
Yes, the
the
horn,
game over.
the horn when he
Yes.
comes in,
It's
the
he's
jumping and the landing and the yell to the fire. Oh my god,
I think he was
such a
legitimately
great presentation.
both of our favorite characters, favorite workers in any company. When he was TNT champion, God's favorite champion, I felt like he was just on another level.
He was the best male title run, I think, in AEW. I don't get me wrong, Kenny was great. Kenny had a great run as the belt collector. I loved that gimmick. Miro was at another level. Miro was the male version of Jade at that time. Those two belts are better than anything in any company right now, and they're not even the main belts. I just except the TNT championship. Hopefully Scorpio can do what he says. He's right. Like those promos he's been cutting, they're right. Like that belt kind of sucks now. And it's been since Sammy won it from Cody. It went from like, wow, this matters again to it kind of sucks now.
Mhm.
And now it really
in quick
sucks.
fashion. Yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully it gets built back up, and then hopefully somebody takes it from him that is worthwhile. My guess it's going to be Ethan Page, but we'll see. We'll cross that when we
Mhm.
get there, I guess.
I would love that match.
Yes.
Give me that.
Yeah.
I don't know if Double or Nothing is going to be too soon for it, but I would love to see both those dudes face off in a big spot.
Yeah.
Either at Double or Nothing or a Dynamite or Rampage main event.
Maybe reforming SCU.
Yeah, if Frankie doesn't turn on him, that black suit is a choice.
Yeah,
that's very Malachi Black-esque.
Yeah.
Frankie's
But
never
maybe
worn all black before like that.
no. Yeah, we're gonna see what happens, I guess, right?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think that was the longest question one in the history of gimmick, the brief history of
It
gimmick
absolutely
infringement, Brad.
was.
I should pass it over to you. Thank you for being so gracious and answering my very layered question there. I'm excited.
Okay, so let's do this. I'll start here. People are talking about Hook being buried. Bear with me here. The internet is silly because of Danhausen potentially luring him into Hookhausen. Tony Nese cut a promo that felt very real, very real. Like, you signed me. Why haven't I been on your TV kind of thing? And challenged Danhausen in a swerve to a match, which I loved. I kind of felt it coming when he started doing it. I was like, this is going to end up being Danhausen, isn't it? And then he said it, and I was like, oh, yeah, it's going to be fun. But Danhausen seems like, oh, no, I can't do this. I'm going to need your help. What did he call him? Tori? I don't remember. He always comes up with a different name for for whoever it is.
Money.
And offered him the chips. So this is a two-parter, very brief. Do you think the match actually happens? And if it does, who do you think picks up the win? And here's why I say that. I don't think Danhausen wrestles. I think Hook wrestles. I think it ends up being Hook and Tony.
Oh, wow. Okay. My initial response to you was going to be yes, it happens, and Tony Nese absolutely destroys Danhausen. Thus, Hook is now absolutely persuaded to join Hookhausen. He got the birthday chips as a gift from one Danhausen, and then Danhausen being obliterated by Tony Nese would be that last piece that we need to form this epic tag team. I do not foresee Nese versus Hook, because I think if that happens, Hook
Double
absolutely
or nothing, maybe?
wins. Yeah, maybe. I think Hook is not losing.
That'd be a great pre-show match. I would be all about that.
You know what? You've convinced me. I think
Hookhausen on the pre-show.
That's where it happens. I do think Tony Nese needs a win before then, though, and it's not happening against Hook. Yeah, he has, and he's not going to be, the I think even in the top 5 of the men's division really ever. But this is a really talented worker who I think we could use a Danhausen squash match here.
Yeah.
I want Tony Nese to beat him if Danhausen is healthy, and then sign me up for your pre-show match at Double or Nothing.
Yeah.
Give me that. Who is Nese's partner then? Mark Sterling? That would be fun.
That would be a lot of fun. That would be a lot of fun.
He's a worker.
They make a stipulation.
Yeah.
Trying to think of other people that it could have been, but I don't know. I don't know who it could be at this.
It can't be JD Drake. Hook dropped him on his head. Yeah.
Yeah, it could. Maybe somebody, I don't know. Maybe Brian Cage shows up. Maybe he's still mad about the whole FTW thing. I don't know. I have nothing for you. I completely forgot he was in the company there until I said his name.
Hopefully,
yeah, dude, I don't know.
Role in ROH, but
I hope so.
To be seen.
Like, he's a good worker. He has a great look.
Unique look. Yeah.
That match he had with Hangman was great. That costume he wore,
the Double or Nothing opener,
absolute ass. But the match was great.
I love how that just stays in the lore of Gimmick Infringement.
So
we bring it up at least, I would say, once every 3 to 4 months. the day one listeners know.
Yeah, absolutely.
They know.
Yeah, so I think I don't think Danhausen needs wins. I think Danhausen needs to pop the crowd. I think Danhausen needs to make us laugh. I think Danhausen being killed in a funny way and vowing to get revenge, trying to curse him, but just eating a punch. Or that there's that spot. I don't even remember who he was wrestling. I don't think it wasn't Josh Alexander. Oh, wait, no, that definitely wasn't, because that's
about the apron spot that you
sent
me?
I don't remember.
That was not Josh Alexander.
That was ROH anyway, so it was the wrong company.
I
don't remember who it was, but it was And watching the kick and just the sound he makes is so funny. I want that stuff. Give me that stuff every once in a while. And I know you saw my tweet, but I feel like Danhausen and Hook are perfect foils for each other. Hook is quiet and ultra serious and just an ass kicker, and Danhausen's Danhausen. Like, that's such a great balance between things that don't make a lot of sense, and I think that works.
For sure, Brad. I think I would argue I was wrong on this when you brought up the potential of Hookhausen weeks ago. I was worried that if this is the route they're going, and if it lasts for a month or two or longer, that this would hurt. I don't know if credibility is the right word, but this would sort of hurt Hook's character
Yeah.
and where we see him going. You asked me a specific question about this weeks ago, and I was worried, but I was very apprehensive. However, like you said, it's just so much fun to see this. The crowd is
Yeah.
clearly into it. You and I are into it. Um, it's just a blast. Danhausen is over, Hook is over, and like you said, it's such a juxtaposition between these two characters that I actually think it's gold. And I think this is way more fun than just seeing Hook dominate someone every week on Rampage, and that's a blast. But this adds an extra layer to the character that I'm actually here for.
Yeah, I think it'll be great. I just want to see like every time they win, Danhausen pull out a bag of chips. I think would be really funny.
Yes, and the merch that's going to be made for this.
Oh my
team.
God, it's going to be so good.
That print the money, TK.
I feel like a Danhausen face with Hook's hair on it is probably what's going to end up being the logo.
Did you see the fans in the crowd who had the face, the one face that was a compilation of both of them?
Yes,
half of it was Hook and half of it was. Is that in your Pro Wrestling Tees cart already, my friend?
Not yet, but it certainly will be there should they make merch.
Beautiful.
That's all I needed for it. Yeah,
it should rule.
Listen, man, this next spot, really thinking about what to say here, but we're gonna do kind of a modified someday when you have kids, because we got a lot of stuff from this past week. So let's go.
And now it's time for
I'm crazy.
Someday when you have kids.
You're crazy.
Man, someday when you have kids, you're going to experience a whole bunch of stuff. Freya was sick this week, and she's in this phase right now where she's in a but. And the buts that come out of her, they're not, but I have an alternative for you. Or, but may I suggest? It's usually, but here's some random shit. Here's a curveball. Here's something selfish. I'm not following what you say. So it's, I think they had pizza last night. Yeah, but I don't want pizza. What? Nobody asked you. Nobody said we were having it. Where did this come from? Like, just buts. But man, so this week we were trying to figure out what to get Jess for Mother's Day, and we ordered a couple of items, and her thing was but I'm gonna tell her I got her a green drink, a cup. She's wanted to tell a lie and trick mom. She thought it would be fun. Totally out of nowhere. This kid is so intuitive. The buts were coming left and right, but I wrote it down here on my notes. The compassion, she just sort of gets it. Maybe it's little kids. She knows when to give a hug. She knows when to just go over and sit by somebody. She knows when to be goofy. She knows when to do all of these things. She just sort of understands things, and it's actually incredible. She's the sweetest kid in the world. Everybody loved her at the family reunion, especially those that she made sick by having the flu and just getting close and hugging everybody.
Yeah, she's still over.
Absolutely. But she's just she's so great, man. And someday when you have kids, you get to experience this. I got to experience a lot of sick snuggles and the heartbreak that comes with a sick child. Like, talk about feeling helpless. Like, when you're sick, you go, oh man, this sucks. I got to get some meds. I got to do this. I want to go to sleep. I want to blah, blah, blah. How am I going to figure this out? And when it's a kid, you're just like, I just hope they're okay. She wouldn't take her. We got Tamiflu. I think it made her sick. She threw up. She had some other stuff, but she just like her first time drinking this stuff, she was going blah, 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 afterward. It was so over the top, like full tongue extension. It was like I gave her a vat of poison, but it was so funny.
That's pretty amazing.
It was so funny. And then she like gurgled up and threw it all up. So it was a bad time, but like the sound she was making, it was so comical. Because it was clearly fake until it wasn't. Then it was like, all right, well, now it's a problem. But man, someday when you have kids, you'll experience the joy and the pain that comes with a kid being sick, that comes with people being in pain around you. And there's just so much light that comes out of having the child. And I think this is one of those times I got to appreciate it a little bit more because I always get that with her. But I think when seeing people in pain and seeing her sick and her still being like, yeah, I want to snuggle you. I want to be around you. I want to hug these people to make sure they're okay, even though I don't feel great. It was just something to see. And hopefully you get to see that someday when you have kids.
That was beautiful, man.
Thank you.
You really popped me with the Freya sound. That was unexpected. I did not know that was coming, but that was great. I'm gonna roll right into question 2, Brad. So we saw the latest Wardlow sirloin beef, Haas match, whatever you want to call it. He got up W. Morrissey, the artist formerly known as Big Cass, for one powerbomb. That's all that was needed. And what I found interesting is that Morrissey dominated most of this match, but unsurprisingly, Wardlow ended up getting the victory, which ruled. However, after the match, MJF cut a promo, Sean Spears alongside him, and declared that this coming week's Dynamite in, what did he say about Long Island, the most magical place on earth?
Yes.
Where he is cheered as a babyface. There's going to be a contract signing. I have 2 questions for you here, my friend. It's a 2-part question, actually. Let me rephrase that. I want to know, how many power bombs is MJF taking at Double or Nothing in their one-on-one match? And what is the stipulation going to be? What does MJF have cooked up his sleeve for Wardlow this week?
Okay, so I'm going to say he's going to eat 10 power bombs, but it won't be until after the match is over. My guess is that MJF is going to have 2 stipulations for the match. Number 1, submission match. Number 2, no power bombs. So much like he did with Mox, where he was not allowed to use the paradigm shift. I think that it's going to be something kind of like that, where he's not allowed to use the power bomb at all. So no power bombs is the stipulation for the match. And then I don't know where he goes with that, or submission match. So the power bomb wouldn't matter anyway, because he'd have to submit him, unless he taps out because he gets to 10 power bombs. It's like, I can't do anymore. That might be it too. So I'm going to take the over, as we had in a text message exchange. I'm taking the over on 10 power bombs, but I also think that the stipulation will somehow nullify power bombs from the match. What do you think?
That's brilliant. That makes so much sense. I think that's what it's going to be, Brad. I don't know how you came up with that, man. I was sort of racking my brain since Wednesday to figure out what Max is going to come up with, but you nailed it. He did that with Mox. Didn't he do that with Jericho at some point, where Jericho couldn't use the Judas effect? Or am I making that up?
I can't remember.
I don't know if it was in their match or maybe in one of
He wasn't allowed to come out to Judas.
Right. I thought there was something with the Judas effect.
Maybe there was. I don't know.
Okay. Maybe it was in one of the Labors of Jericho matches.
Oh wait, yeah, I think it was his match with him, right? Because he went to do it and stopped because he was going to win.
Right.
And then MJF got the pin.
That's right. Okay.
MJF got the pin because he had to stop. Yeah.
So I don't think, if that is the stipulation against Wardlow, that Wardlow can't use his signature move, I don't think that would be like, that's too repetitive. I think that would make a lot of storyline sense. So I love your idea, man. I'm here for that. That's awesome.
Perfect.
Well done.
Okay. Well, it's time, Tyler, for the State of 19 Media. So let's fire up the music and let's go.
And now it's time for the State of the Biz.
I'm suppressing burps left and right here. We are already on fire. Also, once again, we did not talk about who would start this thing. So let me go ahead and kick it off with Mo. A friend of the show dropped a 2022 Wells Fargo edition of Hidden Gems Golf. Check out his work each week to get the scoop on the long shots that no one is discussing.
19 Media co-founder Jabari Davis, released the latest episode of NBA Finals File, his new iHeart podcast project with NBA vet Robert Horry. Check out their latest episode as they relive the 1984 NBA Finals between the Los Angeles Lakers and the Boston Celtics.
Warren Sean, the guys at the Baseline, dropped another NBA playoffs autopsy report, assessing where franchises, including the Brooklyn Nets and New Orleans Pelicans, go from here. Also go Pistons.
JP and James, the fellows over at Dunktails, released a new episode. They have new cover art as well, by the way. It's
excellent. Yes, it's excellent.
Perfect. They released a new episode covering the most newsworthy storylines from the ongoing second round of the NBA Finals. Check them out.
Finally, shout out to Mike Steff, good friend of GI and fellow podcaster. Check out his show, The Salty Thoughts of Donnie Ooh, for detailed, passionate commentary on the latest news in sports, professional wrestling, and New York politics. Guaranteed pop every time. Multiple machine gun rapid fire pops in successsion every time. It's a great listen.
And it's from the start to the end.
Yes,
Mike
all gas.
Like it's all gas for the. I mean, if that was me, I think I would start hot, but then like your old track meets, Brad, come out the gate hot, but then 5-10 minutes through, I'm gassed. That is not an issue for our friend Mike Steff in New York.
I know we talked about this, but I a couple of weeks ago when I saw that the track season had just started in Michigan, and then I was just up there looking at the snow on the ground. We left, it was 31 degrees outside. 31. That's 31. That's one less than freezing. Tyler, it's May. What the hell? This is why I don't live there anymore. I don't have to shovel hot. I don't have to go outside and go like, oh, my eyes hurt because it's so cold. Or if I take a deep breath.
Yeah.
Well, you don't have a choice.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like putting grapes in the freezer. It's terrible. I don't know how everybody up there just isn't sterile just because of how cold it is.
Yeah. Give me the heat all day. Yeah. You know, I agree with you on that one. Can't even imagine.
I mean, I don't like going outside either and like going into my car and having to like tap the steering wheel to see if my hand's going to melt off today. But I'd rather do that than not be able to touch it at all because of how cold it is, or grip my hands around it and think, if I hit a bump, do they break off? Are they just going to come off?
It's 50-50 at best. Yeah. I was having a conversation with one of my friends a few weeks ago at that birthday party in Tucson. This is my friend's like childhood buddy. And he was bringing up climate change. So since this is our foray into politics on this episode, Brad, he said something really interesting because he mentioned, I think he heard or read a study referencing the city of Yuma, Arizona, and how there are some projections that in 10 years, it's going to be impossible to live there because the weather, the highs are projected to be just ridiculous, like 130, 140.
Good God.
And so I thought, damn, like, I love Arizona. I love our desert state. I love the heat within reason, but also like, is that possible that due to, I don't know, this thing we call climate change, we may be screwed in the desert? I just didn't even want to think about it. And I sort of like deviated from the conversation as best I could, while still recognizing that I believe in the science and I believe in the concern, obviously. Man, like you said, just about the weather shifts, like in some parts of the country right now, to your point, it's 31 and snowing. And then here we just had our first 100-degree day in Phoenix last week, which is not abnormal, but I think we have seen some trends in weather that just lead you to think like, man, is this the way it's supposed to be? Or do we have some work to do to protect our planet from destruction? Again, I don't like to think about it, but this dude mentioned it at the party, and I've thought about it several times since then.
Well, there's a when did this come out? In 2017, I saw this come out. I don't know if you saw that. There was a giant crack in the Arizona desert It's about 2 miles long. Did you see this?
No.
Huge fissure. It's because we're pumping water out of the aquifers too fast, so the ground isn't able to cope with it, and it's just splitting open. So we're sucking the desert dry, even in the underground aquifers. So I just called them an aquifer, like I'm wiping some kind of protective layer on a baby's ass. Aquifer.
The aquifer.
Anyway, aquifer.
Aquifer.
Jesus. Yeah. Shout out to all the moms. Happy Mother's Day. Yeah, I saw that and I was like, this is absolutely crazy. So terrifying.
Yeah, I hope we have a planet. I hope Arizona will be okay in all pockets, right? You and I may be good in Tucson / Marana and the greater Phoenix area, but I hope our friends and listeners in Yuma will be all right, man. It's kind of, I like hearing the stories about Freya. And
I don't like Yuma. You know what? Move. Question 2.
All right.
Let's move on. Yuma. What do they got? A prison? Some hills?
I've actually never really been to Yuma, but
I've driven through.
I have
twice.
love for those of you listening in Yuma. I have love for you. I will work on my contemporary Brad here.
I do too. So much love. Come to Tucson. Move out of there. Like, what do you have to lose? Yuma? It's not great. Okay, question 2. The women's matches this week were very strong, especially on Rampage.
Mm-hmm.
Is this the right direction for the women, or is there something else you'd like to see?
Ooh, wow. I think it's the right direction, man. Yeah, this was a strong week. It's so interesting how it seems to be this continuous teeter-totter. Depending on the week, we're either really hopeful or really not hopeful or not optimistic whatsoever.
Right.
Depending on what we see or these 3-minute, 4-minute matches the women are given it, and that's about it. I thought it was great, man. I think this is a step in the right direction. I have conversations with people in my life, you and others who love this business and love this company, but are concerned with the direction of the women. And the conversation usually ends up being, well, what's the solution? Like, if you had TK's ear, what are you suggesting? And I want more time. I want them to continue developing the roster and really working on the storylines. You and I have spoken ad nauseum about cheeseburger storylines and just sort of like things from an earlier year, decades ago, that we don't want to see replicated in AEW. So more of this, more of intriguing storylines. The storyline between Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter versus Ruby and Tony has been built for a few weeks now. They developed kind of a grudge match here, and then they were given time to deliver. Simple. Yeah. Riho, a returning Riho, new gear, and she's presented as a badass. More of that, please. The Thunder Rosa Serena Deeb promo, I do want to hear your thoughts on when I whip this back to you. I think that was probably the women's segment that people were least excited about, which is hard to believe given the talent of these two. But I think we could tell it dragged on. It kind of shifted from less of, hey, we're going to fight for the main prize in this company at Double or Nothing, into, I'll bet you, I'm going to beat you. We're going to put a wager.
They tried to do a thing. It felt totally strange, right? Unnatural and bad. It was all so bad. Like, because I am better than you, and
you know it.
I bet you that we are going to fight. And I was like, ooh, that was rehearsed. Like, it just felt bad. And then it always ends up with, because I am la mera mera. And that's it. And that's how it always ends. It's like, do something different here. Like, I'm glad they tried something, but it's like every time it ends with Thunder Rosa yelling her catchphrase and somebody else just staring, just leering.
That's a good some way. Yeah.
And I don't need that. Just fight. I don't even need a promo to set it up. Like, just get in there. We all know it's going to be good. I would have preferred a vignette than a promo. Talking about how they have history and she grew up watching her, and all of that stuff could have been really great. The promo was really bad, dude. But everything else you said, I echo.
The camera cuts were interesting, particularly the ones on Serena Deeb's face. That seemed different to me. I know you have a real keen eye for this, Brad. Did you notice any differences with how they shot this particular promo duel as opposed to previous ones?
They were much tighter. I don't know why the shots were so tight, but
Yeah.
they were. It was like they were trying to make it more personal. So setting it up with a closer shot on your face does that, but allows people to be more expressive. But the acting was bad. It was just, it didn't feel authentic. And you know how important authenticity is in this business. It's like, it's everything. It's why people don't like Rhonda. It's if you let Rhonda be Rhonda, she'll kill it every single time. But if you give her a script, it's why she's bad in movies. It's the same thing. It's she's not good with the script. She's great if you just let her go. Like look at all of her UFC stuff. It was incredible. But that's why I think people thought she'd be an immediate, instant, easy success. But here's the script. Do this. It's bad. I thought Serena and Thunder were not good here. I particularly was disappointed in Serena. I thought it would be a lot better. But if anything, it made me care less about the match, and it should have made me care more. But my God, that women's tag match, Riho, I don't even know what to say. That was that a match that I was like particularly up for, I guess. It wasn't like I was like, oh, I can't wait for this match. I can't even remember her name. Rio wrestled. What was her name? Yuka, right?
Yuka Sakazaki,
Yeah.
right? I was stuck on the last name. Great last name. Yeah.
Fighting Yuka, and I remembered Yuka.
The magical girl.
Yes. I remember Yuka from way back. And
yes. The magical splash.
Yes. She was amazing. Great. She was great. So
She's
I was
awesome.
like, like, oh, that's right. But I forgot who she was until she came out. And I was like, oh, this chick, she can go. This is going to be fun. And that match was, I don't know if it was my favorite match of the night, because I don't know if I have one. There's so many. Every match on that card was spectacular.
I think they got this is awesome chance as well from the crowd.
Yes.
Who seemed down on, by the way, we totally forgot this, Deonna Purrazzo versus Mercedes Martinez, the main event of Dynamite this week.
I thought the crowd, it felt like the crowd was mic'd differently for Rampage than for Dynamite. I had an exchange with somebody on Twitter. I can't remember their name, or I'd shout them out right now, that was there and said the crowd was popping huge and was super loud for everything. But I was like, the way they had it mic'd, it made it sound like the crowd was completely dead. Because that Purrazzo and Martinez match, it was silent except for a couple of spots. I thought they killed it. I thought that match was great. That was an excellent match. I thought the right person won. I thought it started a little slow and then it picked up. But I thought it was a really good match. I don't understand why people weren't up for it, because they were up for everything else after that, and it was the same crowd. So it's like, what do we got to do to get you to be excited about these things? Because that Takeshita match, good Lord, man, that dude is awesome. I want to see him more and more and more on my screen, because his lariats were snug.
Yeah, off the top rope.
Off the top rope.
That was something.
The lariat into the running knee, the jumping knee onto Jay Lethal, and getting the 10 count before Jay kicked out and hit him with the lethal injection. But that was a great counter on the lethal injection the first time around. It was just like, man, that match was so much fun, and I did not expect it. I mean, Jay Lethal, was going to put on a show, but I did not know what to expect with this other dude. And Takeshita came out and was like, this is awesome. It was one of the best matches. It was so much fun.
It was a Rampage. It was one of those classic Rampages, if we can call it that. I know it hasn't been.
Yes, absolutely.
That just really delivered from start to finish. There was, to me, there was no weak match or segment from Friday's show.
I need you to fill in some stuff for me, though. So we were driving through Country Bumpkin, Kansas, I believe. Not the words that I used.
Man, you are. I think our demographic in Yuma, Arizona, and just the whole state of Kansas right now is not happy with you, man. I think you're going to be receiving some tweets here this week.
Kansas. I was driving out of the Flint Hills, which is my favorite part of the entire drive across country. I love it out there. I think it's beautiful. And then we got into this just dead zone of no cell service that killed my ability to watch Rampage. In the words of my friend Tyler McDowell in a text message video that he sent this week, fuck you for your cell service. I don't even care. It was the worst man, it killed. I have to ask you the question because we're in the middle of nowhere. Cool cows, by the way, because that was all there was for about 2 hours. One silo, several cows, some wind. The end. I don't know what happens at the end of Rampage. I still don't know what happened. I saw the end of the match, and then I saw Jay come out and say, "You said you weren't afraid of me or whatever. Well, aren't you now?" And he started stomping him, and then my feed cut out.
Oh, get out of here! It was
Samoa Joe.
It was very interesting. Well, before that,
Okay.
the best friends actually came out.
Oh, I did see that. I saw Chuck come
yeah.
out, and that.
Yes.
And they both got smashed by Singh, right?
Yeah. And then
Orange jumped off the apron.
Correct. Yeah, that was it, man. Singh and Orange had that face off. Orange jumped off, and he did that strategically because then Samoa Joe's music played.
Got it.
So presumably, and this is the way Excalibur and company presented it, Orange Cassidy and Samoa Joe were in cahoots. Orange backs off, Joe's music plays, he comes out with the lead pipe. And then somehow, miraculously, about 10 security guards are there to stop Joe before he can head to the ring. And that's how Dynamite closed. I don't know if we're getting Samoa Joe versus Satnam Singh for the ROH World Championship. I would much prefer it be Jay Lethal.
Yes.
And I think that makes that's the more sensible option.
Right.
But they're really building up this Singh versus Joe moment whenever we get that. Could you imagine a muscle buster on Singh? I kind of think it's going to be the choke instead of the muscle buster, but I'm going to fantasy book a muscle buster on him.
If he gets him up for a muscle buster and is able
to imagine?
Pull it up, I believe that it will actually bust all of his muscles.
I think the ground may shake.
I don't think Arizona. A dude. Yeah, that might be the first broken ring in AEW history. Right?
It would be a moment. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know if he could get him up high enough. It would almost have to be a super muscle buster if he did it.
Yeah.
And that would break the ring. 100%.
I don't know if we're working ourselves into a shoot here, but it was clear that was how that's how Rampage ended was those two. I mean, it's really the trio versus Samoa Joe, but the moment was Joe's going to go get Singh with this lead pipe, but again, he was stormed by security and we ended there.
I missed it before the Orange Cassidy spot. I saw that on Twitter later on, but
yeah, it was fun. I popped
it was right when Chuck started getting blasted. When he was doing the thing where he's just picking him up and slamming
the Harlan NXT.
Yes.
Yeah. Took that from Harlan for sure.
Yeah. Well, that's fine. That guy sucks. So
the next Brock Lesnar, pal.
Yeah, that I don't know if he actually sucks. All I know is that he followed me on Twitter and then unfollowed me one day. So he sucks now. Screw that guy.
Yeah.
Absolute heat.
Did you hear he's from Yuma, by the way? Has anyone?
Oh, that would make total sense.
That would, yeah. Brad versus Yuma, Arizona.
Yuma reflects his career. Absolute nothing. All right, let's go to it's time.
I'm fighting for you, Yuma. I am fighting. I've never been to your city, but I will fight for you here.
If you have, you wouldn't. Let's head on and as I bury Yuma, I'm going to pass it to you to do this part because it feels ironic if I do it. So Tyler.
Oh yeah,
you gonna say any words, Tyler? We're doing
Dead Air City.
Show here.
I thought. Yeah. Embrace the mess, Brad. It is absolutely time for a needed moment of gratitude.
And now it's time for a little self-reflection. So, think about yourselves. Or something.
Brett, I don't know if I said this on air. I applied for this master's program at Arizona State University, and I got in.
Hey.
They accepted me somehow. So I'll be in the learning, I think I've got it right now after several weeks of trying, the Learning Design and Technologies program, housed under the Teachers College, which is my employer. So I'm super stoked, man. You and I have spoken off air several times about for those of us in the education space, profession, universe, whatever word you want to use, it really seems like, depending on what your ambitions are, a master's degree is really needed at times. It can open up a lot of doors for you. In other cases, not so much, and it doesn't make sense. But I feel like for where I'm at, and especially given the employee tuition discount that that the public universities offer, which is like they pay for 75% of your degree, bachelor's, master's, whatever you're going for. It just seemed like it made so much sense. So I got in, classes started on the 16th, and I really feel like I'm in a good place of one, just being grateful for the opportunity and grateful for my health and family and the mothers across the world, as we said earlier. Everyone in my life that's been so supportive, but also like you, man, I just am really embracing this idea of being a lifelong learner and just the dialogue within academia and being around people who want to discuss, different theories and readings. And I think I kind of took that for granted during most of my educational journey, especially when I was in high school. I would even argue when I was in college. I think I just had other priorities than just really sinking my teeth into academia. But now I feel like that's my moment. And yeah, man, I'm just so grateful for the encouragement of you, of my family, of colleagues who said, dude, you got this new gig. And if you're working at a university, why not go for this opportunity?
Sure.
So yeah, man, I'm super stoked. And most importantly, I feel super grateful for this. Classes start this summer. And then, man, hopefully I'll be adding a degree sometime in the next year to 2 years.
That's amazing. I did not know that you got in. That was news to me.
Yeah,
I hadn't heard the official word.
Yes,
that's awesome.
it's
Congratulations.
official. I did my academic integrity tutorial. I registered for my 2 summer classes, and I think I'm going to be able to balance it all, man. I got that. I got GI. I got this gig that I think I'm finding some success with. So I just, like I said, a lot to be grateful for this week.
There's a lot of people that say that you can't do it, and they get all up on how difficult this thing they chose to do can be. Just throwing that out there. I've done it almost twice, and like you, I'm grateful for the opportunity to do it a third time. I was thinking the same thing. I got accepted into a master's program in professional writing at Northern Arizona University through the Arizona Teachers Academy. Lucky enough, they'll pay for it. So really excited about that. I haven't finished everything yet because Grand Canyon University's transcript request department, I guess we'll call it, their system is still printed out on paper and fax it like it's 1997. So I have to figure out how to do that crap. But once I get that off the ground, my Beatty Knott Community College is using Parchment. I did it online. 3 seconds later, boom, already emailed, transcripts accepted. I got to do the bigger university of all of the things that I sent out. Doesn't have it set up right yet. It's unbelievable. But I'm really grateful for that. But I'm also grateful for my health and my family. And I'm really grateful I got to see my mom and my dad on this trip. They were supposed to come out here this month, but my dad's got some health issues, specifically with his back, that is not going to allow them to travel. So they might be coming out in the fall. That's the plan right now. But it's been a long time since they've been able to come out. And I was glad they got to see Freya for a few minutes, even if it wasn't at 100%, they got to be with us, and really grateful that I got the chance to do that. And then get to see Jess's family and get them sick was a really great opportunity for me too. Feel really good about it. But I'm glad I got to see everybody while I was up there, and I'm glad I got to see my parents. So just grateful all around for not being so sick that I'm in the hospital, that Freya's on the mend at least, and that our dogs traveled really well in that van, man. Like,
yeah,
they did excellent in there. Like, they just did really great. Yeah,
that's a blessing.
Yeah, absolutely. So just grateful all around. Everything is looking up.
I love that so much, my dude. I think we're ready for question 3.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's go. So this one is probably my shortest question of the episode. House of Black. We saw them this week on AEW programming, which one would think is a win. But Julia Hart has not yet turned on Varsity Blondes and not joined House of Black, ? To me, I lied. This is going to be a long form question. To me, this segment between Varsity Blondes and House of Black kind of mirrored Serena Deeb and Thunder Rosa in that it just seemed to drag on and on and on. Love all the talents involved here for different reasons, but this just didn't. I don't deem this segment a success. overstayed its welcome, and we did not get the Julia turn. My question for you, Brad, I saw your head nodding, so I'm assuming you agree with at least part of my observations there. So, number one, of course, your thoughts on the segment. But the number two, the real question, I want a temperature check from you on House of Black right now. Where are you with this trio? I think you and I are super stoked for the possibility of Death Triangle versus these guys. Inject that directly into our eyeballs every day of the week. But temperature wise, do you think they're being utilized properly right now? And how much longer do we need to see Varsity Blondes and House of Black continuing?
Never again. I just I didn't like the whole thing. I thought I'm not that up on Varsity Blondes, to be honest with you. Like they're fine. Um Pillman's hit and miss. I felt like that promo was just sloppy. Like it was all over the place. I don't know that it was necessarily his fault, but it was like, how do I say I want to fight House of Black, but also incorporate Harbaugh? Like is what it felt like, right?
Yeah.
It just felt like let's
I didn't
force this in
realize.
there.
Yeah, I didn't realize the background of he was his late dad's college roommate.
Yeah,
Had no clue.
me either. And I think that's really, really cool. Also totally unnecessary for what they were trying to do here.
Yeah, right.
Because Harbaugh was not involved in any way, shape, or
Right.
form for that whole thing.
At the very least, give me Harbaugh eating a black mass.
Yes.
I needed that, and it didn't
Yeah.
happen.
Or a Murphy's Law. Like,
Or that's
can you imagine? Yeah.
or Murphy's
Yeah.
Law. Yes.
Yeah.
Sports Center clip. Absolutely.
I get why they showed him in Baltimore. I get all of that stuff. It was fine. It was totally fine. But it felt out of place for this. The Julia stuff, it felt super rapey. Like, I did not like that vibe at all. It felt like assault. Like I imagine there are women watching that felt deeply uncomfortable by that. The way that they hovered over her, that they crowded her, that they were slinging her around and stuff. I think I know what they were trying to do there, but it felt bad and not in a good heat. It was go away heat. It was bad. Um I don't want that for House of Black. I feel like House of Black can be evil and incorporate like we'll take anybody into the house and not have them be like that because everything about it screamed like PTSD and assault. I don't know if you got that vibe, but I felt like it was a big fat metaphor in my face. And I doubt that was intentional, but it's how it came off. It made me deeply uncomfortable watching that part. Um, because it dragged on for so long. It was like this is a woman who is being forced to do something she doesn't want to do, and at the end she's saying no, and they're trying to force her to do it. All of that felt like, dude, it felt all of it felt wrong.
Yeah, it was on the
so it wasn't good for me. I did not like that. Totally turned me off from the whole angle. If she turns now, she's got to do it on her own, and she's got to be really aggressive when she does it. They got to be a little afraid of her or it's not going to work. It'll feel like assault again. And I'm just kind of over the whole thing. I don't really care anymore. It's like that. You're right. That took way too long. They've done that a couple of times with House of Black where everything is just taken too long.
Yes, they have.
And it's like, they're just giving them time, but it's like they had a set amount of time. Somebody went short and then they had them go out there and they never changed anything. So it was like, oh, we'll just beat the shit out of them for 5 minutes. You know what I mean? Like it's, and then it was just like, it was uncomfortable to look at. So I'm out on it. I haven't liked House of Black for a while there. I miss just Malachi coming out by himself was amazing.
Yeah. Dare I say he was in your top 5 favorite acts in the company solo.
He still
the
is
squash
solo.
match against Cody, and then just the work he was doing. He was paired with Andrade for a bit, and I think that's when it kind of started to turn. But the entrance, the aura. Do you remember when he first debuted in Miami?
Oh my God.
And Black Mass
kicked
to Arn?
Arn, yeah.
I mean, dude, you were all in. I think you still are, but
I still am. But I guess having them in House of Black has been really cool, and I like the vignettes, and I think there's something there. But Tony needs to introduce the trios titles now, or they're just doing stuff. there's too many trios groups that are just sort of doing stuff. And I need more than that right now at this point from them, because how do you have Buddy on there? Buddy Matthews is doing nothing. Buddy Matthews is one of the greatest workers in the entire world.
Yes.
And Buddy Matthews is not doing anything right now.
Yeah.
Why is Buddy Matthews not doing anything? Why is Andrade not doing anything? It's just there's two of the best workers in the world right now, and everybody's, let it play out, let it play out. I'm kind of over letting it play out. I want to see more. So I did not like this segment. I'm kind of out on House of Black right now. I'm all in on their match with Death Triangle, but they're doing too much stuff. Like there's too many like micro programs going on. And I feel like they were just doing it to give Varsity Blonde some time. I don't care about Griff Garrison. Like, who cares about that guy? Like,
taller Jungle Boy. Yeah.
Yeah, like, I bet he's awesome. I don't know. He never talks ever. The only thing I've ever seen him do is be confused in the hallway on BTE skits because they think he's Jungle Boy. That's literally all I've ever seen him do. He doesn't cut promos. Brian always cuts the promos, and then he stands there and is tall. So I don't know. What am I missing from Griff?
I think you nailed it.
I think you need to give us something for me to care about this. Right now, I don't care about the Varsity Blondes. Brian Pillman Jr. I care about because of his story and because of his dad. Julia Hart, I care less about her now because of what they did with her this week. I'm concerned for her now, but I care less about her arc. So I don't know. I thought Dynamite kind of sucked this week. I didn't think it was bad, but you compare it to Rampage this week, and woo boy, Rampage was good.
I agree. Yeah, absolutely, top to bottom, a much stronger show, much stronger outing than Dynamite. You'll hear no argument from me on that one.
What do you think?
House of Black? Yeah, it's tough to be hot on them or warm on them right now.
Yeah.
Consistently, we've seen that these segments just have not been it. Still in on all the talents, particularly Malachi and Buddy Matthews, but like you said, I think they need a direction, and I think when they're given these minutes on the show, it just needs to be more grounded and more purposeful. Like on one hand, gratitude, grateful to see them on the screen and get time, but like you said, if the time's not being utilized well, developing anything of substance, it's not for me. I'm more down on them than I ever would have guessed, and frankly, this trio hasn't been around for a year or 2 years. This is a relatively new trio. I mean, Matthews signed in what, December?
Yeah,
January?
it's only a few months ago, and
if that,
I've only seen him do like 2 things.
Yeah. So I'm pretty
all
cold
in
on it
text. So yeah, I guess, man, I don't know. I don't even know what to say. Nothing. I have nothing to add. I just
I think the potential trios match against Death Triangle at Double or Nothing though could be a turning point for them, hopefully, because like you said, we know the in-ring work of that match could be phenomenal. I would even say could potentially steal the show on that card. But
I totally agree.
We need something more for them.
And you know what? I'm gonna put some respect on Brody King's name here, because I always pop for that corner cannonball, the yell into the cannonball.
Yes.
Good God, he killed Brian. Like, I thought his whole spine came out of his body when he hit him. So that was nuts.
Yeah, absolutely.
But still,
good call there.
Okay, my final question. Pretty short one. Off the air, we didn't get to see it, but we heard about it on social media. I'm sure you heard about this. If you didn't, I'll fill the audience in. We had one of the best matches of the year on I think Dynamite, and that was one of the bright spots. Dante Martin, versus Ray Phoenix.
So glad you're asking this.
Oh man, what an incredible match! At the end of the match, we saw Ray unclip his mask and then hug Dante, and then it went to a promo. What we didn't see is that after that, Alex Abrahantes went up into the ring and covered Ray Phoenix with his jacket so that Ray could take off his mask and give it to Dante as a sign of respect. A huge deal in the lucha world. Do you think that should have been aired? And do you think they will air it at some point?
You told me about that, but I don't think I actually saw the clip.
I haven't either. I
Yeah,
haven't seen anybody post it or anything.
I may surprise you here, and I'm very curious to flip the question on you, but I don't think it need to be aired. No, I think like what you said, given the how much we know it means in the lucha libre tradition, I think there's some stuff we don't have to see. Let it be between the two talents and those who were there and live for it. Um, yeah, I actually don't need to see it. Would I like to? Of course, because I'm a huge fan of both these guys. But given the tradition, and I'm sure how much it meant to both dudes, especially Dante Martin, who probably watched Ray Phoenix on Lucha Underground just absolutely kill it. Yeah, I don't. I think that's a moment for the two of them, not as much for me.
I'm completely in agreement with you.
Okay, I thought we might be.
I
Okay,
am I am thankful we didn't see it. I'm thankful
yeah,
there's not clips floating around out there.
yeah,
It's like one of those moments that if you see it live, you know you witnessed something special and probably rare,
absolutely.
especially in America. And I'm thankful it happened. I'm thankful I heard about it, and I'm so glad we didn't see it. I think it's one of those things. It's not for the fans. It's not fan service. My guess is that Ray may have specifically asked for it not to be aired because if he planned on doing that, but I don't know. It may have been just sort of on the fly. I would like to get the story behind it. Um, I don't need to know what was said between the parties. I kind of like that, like the stuff with Rock and Austin when it was Steve's second to last match now at WrestleMania. When Rock said some stuff there and people have asked him what he said, is basically he said, "Oh, he just told me how much he loved me," and stuff that's between us. I love that. You don't need to share it with everybody. We don't need to know everything. That's for you guys. I appreciate that stuff so much. So not seeing that on TV felt it makes it more authentic. It makes it real. It makes it matter. So really happy we didn't get to see it, but I love that it happened because that match was so good. It felt like a great luchador
Yes, it
match,
did.
even though Dante, I don't know that I would consider him a luchador more than just a high flyer, but the dude works that he flipped over Ray at one point, like a standing backflip, like it was nothing. That dude
And,
really does fly. It's insane.
and I think he's 23. Like,
Yeah.
imagine what he's going to do in 5 years. I mean,
I,
it's ridiculous. That
I
moment
just,
they had where they ended up staring at each other. It was definitely
oh
after
my God.
a high
So
spot.
good.
I think where they jumped from. Correct me if I'm wrong. They jumped from the top rope, both stuck the landing, and then
Yeah.
side by side stared at each other. Camera zoomed in.
Dude,
Amazing.
that top rope back flipping Russian's leg sweep.
Yes, thank you.
Holy shit. I've never seen anything like that
No,
before.
no, wild.
That match was crazy.
Yeah, it was
I like
awesome.
even Excalibur was like, I don't because Jericho was like, what was that? If Jericho was like, what was
Yes.
that? You know, you saw something that was unique.
Yeah. The Russian leg sweep call popped me.
Yeah.
I love these two, and we can't state enough just how awesome Ray Phoenix is.
Oh my God, he's
I
so
think he's one
incredible.
of those talents on the men's side that just we forget about. He's in a tag team, so sometimes we may think, oh no, he's a tag team wrestler, and then other times there's just so many other dudes and bigger personalities that we don't talk about him. And granted, he was injured, so we just kind of out of sight, out of mind. But the
Right.
stuff this dude does in the ring, like you said, Brad, similar to Dante Martin, he does stuff that I just have never seen before. And his fluidity, and I mean he just walks the ropes like it's no
Crazy.
it's no big deal for him. He is so amazing. I'm so glad he's healthy, and like you mentioned earlier, way earlier in the episode, Phoenix versus O'Reilly absolutely has the potential to be the best match of the first round. As much as I'm a sucker for Hardy versus Darby, I think the in-ring work of Phoenix and O'Reilly, I don't know what else is going to compare to that. Of course, Cole and Dax is going to rule.
Yeah,
And
it's gonna be
give
great.
me a Joe versus Miro all day. I never thought we would get that. But what O'Reilly and Phoenix are going to do, I think is going to be super special because O'Reilly's amazing, and Phoenix is the best luchador in the world? Question mark.
Right.
I think
Yeah.
so.
I I can't think of anybody else.
Or he's neck and neck with whoever you got next to him,
Well,
right?
it's so hard because you have guys that are working kind of like a lucha style, but are in New
Mhm.
Japan, working
Right.
Japanese style, like or not, maybe not New Japan, maybe it's some other promotion, but like, have you seen all the highlights from Ninja? Like
Right.
Ninja
Ninja Mac.
is
Yeah.
oh my God.
Yeah.
next level, right? Like,
Matrix-esque, yeah.
yes, some of the stuff that he's doing is incredible. So it's hard to know if you're going to compare styles, but in terms of just the lucha style, nobody's better than Ray Phoenix right now. I can't think of anybody else. But as far as the tournament goes, total agreement. That Dax promo though about facing Adam Cole has me all ready for that match. That match is going to rule.
Yes, it is.
I think that might have that has the potential of being a 5-star match on free TV.
Mhm.
I just,
No doubt.
or I guess Will Washington said he hates that term since we pay for it on television, on cable television, not a premium live event.
The more I've heard from you and the more we've dialogued about it on this episode, man, I really think, I mean, both tournaments hopefully are going to rule. The women are going to deliver. It's going to be amazing. The more we talk about these men's matches, I think all four of the opening round, all four of the matches are so different from each other.
Yeah.
But I'm so excited for each of them in various ways.
Right.
This has the potential to be really great, Brad. Really great.
Yeah. Yeah. Total agreement.
I'm
man.
ready.
Can't wait.
Yeah. Well, Brad, I guess we got to close the show with some news and notes outside of AEW. I want to read you this list and then hear what stood out to you. And please let me know if I am forgetting something extra important. In no particular order, we now know that according to Fightful, Candice LeRae is a free agent. Impact Wrestling held their Under Siege event in Newport, Kentucky. Josh Alexander retained his title. We also saw the debut, or return, I guess you could say, of Mia Yim, formerly known as Jade in Impact Wrestling. She confronted Deonna Purrazzo. It was so great to see her be given the spot. Sami Callihan also returned. He confronted Moose. Amazing cactus pile driver on Moose, by the way. I'm pretty sure Moose is about nearly a foot taller.
So much taller, dude. He dwarfed him. Yes.
I know you saw this though, but that cactus pile driver was phenomenal. So Sammy is back. And then finally on the WWE side of things, Roman Reigns delivered a really interesting promo of sorts at a live event in Trenton, New Jersey. This was after the official show. He got on the mic, the traditional thanking the crowd for coming out and get home safely. What was interesting here is that one, this was an absolute babyface promo. He started with "Acknowledge me," but then delivered some really interesting news. He kind of left some breadcrumbs, leading us to speculate that he may not be in WWE imminently, or perhaps this time next year. He mentioned that Trenton, I don't know if I'm going to be here again. I don't know if I'm going to see you again. So without quoting him directly, so thank you for the memories. You supported me when I was in the Shield. You supported me all these years later, and I may be entering a new phase of my career, I believe was the word he used. So we saw that. And then finally, Brad, I'll conclude with this. WrestleMania Backlash is tonight. It's as we record this, it's tonight, right? We're recording on a Sunday. So we have very predictably a lot of rematches from WrestleMania. We have the People's Main Event of Madcap Moss versus Happy Corbin. Those are the news and notes that stood out to me from the week outside of AEW. What say you?
I'm trying to look right now to see if there's any updates here for anything, and I just saw a Claudio tweet that just says soon ... So that's pretty cool. I really wanted to see what was going on with the matches, and then I decided I don't really care. The Roman thing, I think they said that it was more about him switching to not doing house shows every week versus him going to Hollywood. It doesn't sound like he has any projects, anybody lined up, anything lined up. It's just that he'll be backing off of the full-time wrestling gig a little bit, which is great. Candice LeRae, free agent, Mia Yim showing up. Sami Callihan, 5'9", Moose 6'5". I looked it up because he did look like he was standing next to a moose when he showed up with the baseball bat. I thought that was great. There was a lot of really good stuff. Stardom, I think, had a thing this weekend. There was also all the ninja stuff that was coming out of whatever event that was. I don't even know what event that was, but there's a lot of Japanese wrestling happening right now. One of the things I was thinking about too was I like the way that Japanese wrestling is shot. That kind of like foggy, grainy shot that isn't super crystal clear 8K kind of stuff because it's timeless. I don't know if I'm watching something from 10 years ago or something from this weekend. So it's kind of cool being able to look at that and go like, these matches don't have a date. They're just all awesome and they're all the time. So I thought that was kind of cool, but I don't think you missed anything else. I'm trying to think of anything else that we may have missed. I know there was some news that broke about AEW games and the AEW game coming out soon. I don't know if you want to talk about that.
Yeah, the screenshots look incredibly promising. I think we have so many. I think there's so much to look forward to if this game is being modeled after No Mercy, and we just know the people that are involved are so passionate about it. It's if it lands in our stores in September, Brad, you and I think you and I need to dedicate some serious time toward playing it. But there may be other
yeah,
specific
it's gonna
details that
happen.
there may be other details, specific details that I missed. I saw the screenshots, but that was kind of about it.
So the only thing I saw that is the authors of pain may be returning, and
Oh
that they might be
yes, good
wrestled
call.
somewhere. So that's another return that I saw. Probably less of an impact than maybe Candace, but maybe not. Maybe it's just because they've been gone longer. So we'll see. I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen. Man, now that I saw that Claudio tweet, I might have to revisit that Joker. So we'll find out. I don't know. Or maybe Claudio shows up at the New Japan event because
Yeah,
it makes sense that he would wrestle there.
yeah,
I really don't know, bro.
yeah.
I really don't
I,
know. This
I
was
love I love this stuff. So much to look forward to.
I
Always.
was just gonna say this was a lot of fun this time around, and there's always
Yeah.
something coming on the horizon that is something to look forward to.
Absolutely. Well, let's get our plugs out of the way. You can follow Brad at Winduster. You can follow me at Tyler J. McDowell. Of course, hopefully by now you know the pod is at GIPod19. Please be sure to give a follow to the wonderful, the mighty 19 Media Group at 19M Group on Twitter, 19mediagroup.com. They give us this platform, and we also have a roster full of other talented creators who cover sports, culture. We highly recommend you give them your eyeballs and your ears because we think you won't regret it. Also, I'd be remiss if I didn't put out gimmickinfringementpod.com. Please check out the magic that Brad creates. We are perpetually reminding you that there will be new articles up there. We are speaking it into existence. It is going to happen in the very near future, but we also already have some pieces up that hopefully you will enjoy. Some reflections on wrestling and what this wild business means to Brad and I. Brad, any plugs you want to get out of the way before we wrap this up?
I don't think so. Just check out all the content that we're putting out on 19 Media. There's just so much stuff. There's stuff I haven't listened to. There's stuff that I've been trying to listen to. I know there's people in the media group that haven't listened to us, but
But they will.
they
But they
will.
will.
We will make them.
Yeah.
So really happy about this. Really happy about all the work that we're putting in, that we're consistently putting out shows. We put a show out last week. I didn't think that was going to happen. So I'm really happy that we're able to do that, even if it was Dynamite specific. If you've made it this far, an hour and a half is a long podcast. So we appreciate you taking the time. Break it up if you need to. You got a week to get it in. So appreciate the time, appreciate the listen, appreciate the viewing. I don't have anything else to plug other than, I don't know, go do some random act of kindness. Do it anonymously. Go donate to something that you believe in. And don't tell people that you did it. I think that's always a great way to do something.
Perfectly said. I couldn't agree more. It never goes out of style. Thank you all for supporting us, and we hope to see you next week. Take care. Gimmick Infringement is a part of 19 Media Group. You can listen to us on Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you find podcasts. You can also find us on YouTube via the 19 Media Group channel. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share.